the idea that everything you think can be evil is gaslighting. The whole concept of religion is we can resolve an issue we've created to resolve. I mean, God created the sin problem, if you believe in that. Why do we need to follow and thank him when he created it and allowed it? I mean, if a human being caused a nuclear waste problem and then cleaned it up, would we be thanking them? No. I think cleaning it up is probably the only reason why the person hasn't been strung up by their neck yet. We would not thank someone who caused a problem and then later solved it. That's their job, to fix what they've broken. And the whole concept of hell, that's not a loving God. A loving God wouldn't create people with the bend toward being the worst, most wicked creatures on the planet. A loving God would not allow someone to harm another person physically. You cannot convince me there's a loving God when, if there was one, he allows 30,000 plus kids a year to be taken and murdered. Cancer among kids, domestic violence. You cannot convince me that there's a loving God anywhere. And if there is one, he's a sadist. What kind of God would allow millions of people to follow a religion that has murdered over 250 million people since its conception? These people believe that their religion is the oldest, when in fact, it's not. Hinduism is the oldest religion. Every major religion existed before Christianity. Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Islam. They all existed. Several of the cults didn't exist, but all major religions existed before Christianity. They just copied everyone else. Jesus is not the only deity born of a virgin. He's not the only deity that died for people's sins either. And Christians think that theirs is the right way. There are over 40,000 distinct Christian denominations, and they all believe theirs is the only correct interpretation. And when you step out of that, there's over 100,000 religions, sects, and cults, and philosophies, religion or secular. There is no way that Christianity is the only right way, when there are so many variations and distinctly different religions. I honestly think it would be easier to find a needle in a haystack than the right religion. All religion were created by men for male benefit and privilege. That's why every religion basically blames women for existing. But without women, men would not exist. All men started as women. And the way church treats women, and just the gaslighting, where churches twist scripture with theological concepts, where churches dismiss legitimate grievances about spiritual texts and what they now gaslight people into believing is church hurt when it's really church abuse. While some Christian churches don't allow nor endorse toxic, misogynistic, racist ideology, there is a manipulation tactic through evangelism. I mean, religion waits until people are desperate, sick, hungry, before they usually help you. That's why 9/11 was such a religious experience. Even though the Bible may condone some of the deception and manipulation, God never prevents it. The church loves to invalidate, stonewall people's feelings and experiences. The idea that God works all things together for good, have faith, is some of the most gaslighting phrases imaginable. God never gives you more than you can handle. That's not even in the Bible. The belief of have more faith silences legitimate emotional responses and prevents any accountability for abusive, manipulative, deceptive behavior. Authority figures misusing power while manipulating religious beliefs and fundamentalist entitlement. Authority figures can weaponize their position by framing a person's question as a lack of faith, protecting their own reputation and power at the victim's expense. What about when someone has doubt or is going through a crisis? Religious leaders love to imply that this is a result of a lack of faith, a lack of dedication and work within church. When someone is struggling with their mental health, many churches gaslight with phrases like, just pray about it. The suffering is due to a possible lack of faith. It undermines a person's own instincts and emotional state. So how do people respond to gaslighting? You have to recognize the abusive behavior. Go to therapy. Learn the top 28 ways that gaslighters in religion misuse and use religion as a weapon. Set firm boundaries. When a gaslighter continues to manipulate, establish boundaries. This may include limiting contact with the person or removing you from a toxic situation. Seek outside accountability. Go to secular people with medical and scientific degrees, people you can talk to that aren't necessarily in your religion. Trust your instincts, especially if you're a woman. Believing your own perception of reality and going outside of a single person for validation and acceptance of your point of view can limit gaslighting. The whole idea of religion is a massive gaslighting scheme. Most religions exist to get rich. And religion creates an environment where women are at a disadvantage, where people who aren't white and male are at a disadvantage. There's so many power imbalances. We don't see a pastor having a relationship with one of their flock as an abuse of power, as an affront to somebody's professionalism. We don't see men grooming boys and girls, even if it's not of a sexual nature. Grooming can be indoctrinating and evangelizing and pushing someone into a ministry they don't want. Telling people not to go to college or read secular books or go to secular therapy can be a limiting gaslighting technique. I've been in therapy almost 3 years, and I have barely touched the tip of the iceberg for medical and religious gaslighting. It is almost unbelievable, the kind of gaslighting that happens. One of the most effective gaslighting situations in the Bible is Genesis 3, where Satan gaslights Eve and Adam into believing that God is holding out on them. The Pharisees in the New Testament would gaslight Jesus, his followers, and members inside of the Jewish faith. Abigail and Nabal. But even if you don't believe in the Bible,